and I'll add all your stuff later to the post.
No, totally cool. Sounds great.
And it'll be on your page and you can share it. He's going to be here. There's coffee there.
Oh, okay.
He'll pop up any second for you to say hi. Just a second, Derek.
Cool.
Well, I believe we've gone live, which has happened before. And he says you have enough residual coke in your system to keep you hyper.
Yeah. From the 80s. Hey, what you doing?
Well, I said, how you doing, man? How you feeling?
Can't hear.
How you feeling?
Good. Feel great.
I got this.
Good. Like you still look like shit, but I'm glad
Yeah,
you
you know what do you do?
All righty. Well, it's live, so I'll plug in the headphones for me.
Sorry,
Don't worry,
guys.
it's noise canceling, so it's
Okay.
cool. So, hey, Facebook people, this is Comic Spot. Derek, can you hear me? Have I got
I
this
can
in?
hear you. I can hear you
Perfect.
just fine.
Perfect. Comic Spot, you're so lucky today. This is like a master class, not for interviewing. Screw that. This is a master class for meeting people who are good at comedy, like veterans of comedy. Yeah, like Derek Richards, Stephen Pearl. Back to Derek Richards. This is your moment. This is your life. You get to be the queen for a day here.
That's not nasal spray that he's got back there.
You don't have nasal spray, right?
Get away. I'm hideous. Turn away.
Derek Richards, tell everybody who's watching, because I know there's one or two out of my 12 or 14,000 that are watching. Tell everybody where you're from and how you got into comedy in the first place. I know everybody in the world has asked you, but I haven't.
No, I'm well, thank you for having me, by the way.
Thank you for coming on.
Much appreciated. No, I'm from Detroit originally, and actually started in Kalamazoo, Michigan back in 1993, Thanksgiving weekend, after I lost my full-time radio gig. And so was kind of brought in as the MC at a little weekend club over there in Kalamazoo. And I had known the guy who ran the club for many years doing promotions when I was in radio, and he was super cool. Never forget the guy. He was just a huge help for me to get started in doing this. And so that was 1993, and so bounced around a little bit down to Florida, back up to Michigan, now out here in Las Vegas for the past 8 years.
Wonderful. You're so frickin' funny, and your material is so tight, so relatable, and these are not things I'm just throwing out to win brownie points. I really mean that. I enjoy your set. You're so in the moment. Your stuff cracks you up.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now, you got to amuse yourself first and foremost. If you're not happy with what's coming out of your mouth, don't bother saying it.
Yeah. So many people are afraid to laugh at their own material, and it adds a whole nother layer of funniness when it makes you laugh.
Well, I think a lot of it too is just seeing the reaction from people and seeing them enjoy it. And so, I mean, I love what I do, so it's cool to see that response come back from people. And so it just feels good. It's just a natural reaction to have that, for me anyway.
Yeah.
To have that feedback with an audience.
There's nothing worse than an annoying laugh at your own material. Like, there's no reaction to the joke, so nervously the comic laughs. It's like going into crowd work when your joke bombed. It's like you got to do it the right way.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, it's like anything. It's about timing. It's about reacting to the audience. It's about knowing what. You do something that the audience doesn't care for. It's don't react by nervous laughter. Go on to the next thing. So I mean, Tom Brady throws interceptions. I mean, the best baseball players strike out. So it's going to happen.
Yes, Tom Brady. And you come from Irish descent.
Yes, my dad and my dad's whole family were from Ireland.
And your mother?
And my mother, she was from my dad had met my mother here in the States. So his whole family came over. My grandparents came over on my dad's side, came over from Ireland right before World War II.
Wow.
So yeah. So it's I'm Irish American.
Did they
So-
build New York City?
I wouldn't let any of my family do anything that involved construction. I'm sure they helped. I'm sure they helped take down a couple bars. I guarantee you that. They probably put some money into a police fund illegally, I would imagine.
When they first came to America, I assume they went through Ellis Island, not illegally. They went the correct way, right? Back in those days.
No, they actually went to Mexico and they walked over the border. They were cleverly disguised. My redheaded grandfather with a bunch of little Mexicans, and it was and he snuck through. I can't believe it. You put a sombrero on somebody, and Border Patrol doesn't pay any attention.
Oh my gosh. So what city did they land in at first? In you said you were born and raised in Michigan. I forget the exact city.
Detroit is where I'm from originally. So yeah, my grandparents had come over and they, went through, came to New York and, did everything that they were supposed to do. I know that's unusual for people to hear today.
Thank you. My parents came over after World War II, after Hitler, after being in the camps. So, like I get to win at losing.
That was the worst summer camp ever, wasn't it?
It's the longest summer camp.
Horrible.
Yodelay-hoo. Showers.
The activities sucked.
So terrible.
I know. It's awful.
It's terrible. And we can laugh about it now, but I didn't go through it, but I still I have trouble concentrating. I'm allergic. I'm allergic to orange juice. I don't even like condensed milk.
That's horrible. I thought I was a horrible person. Now I met my female equal. Cheers. Good for you.
Cheers. Cheers to that. So you came from the Motor City. Did anyone in your family work at a car building company?
Who didn't? No, my dad worked for Ford for 35 years, and my grandfather had worked in auto production too. I mean, if you don't work directly for an auto manufacturer in Michigan, for the most part, you're probably, not everybody, of course, but there's so many other components that go into it in terms of parts manufacturing and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah, quite a few family members that are tied to the auto industry.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Now, I don't know if there are any manufacturing companies in Detroit working. Are there? Or have they outsourced them all?
No, it's cranking back up. It's obviously stuff being outsourced, but it's nice seeing Detroit make a comeback after being down for so many years. It's nice going back and seeing what the city's done to crank itself back up. It's it was in a horrible spot for a long, long time. Political corruption through the years. Mayors that were a nightmare. One is still in prison in Florida.
Wow.
From years ago, and so it's funny that it actually took an Irish mayor who is there now to finally get things kind of moving in the right direction. So I'm proud of my heritage for actually turning around my city.
Absolutely. I'm proud of you. I know your heritage you're proud of, but when I was reading your bio, I was in the Army in 73 to 76, and you're a veteran of God knows how many USO tours. Was it 15? Is that the number you had?
It's been, done a bunch of stuff for USO, but also Armed Forces Entertainment. And so it was probably, I would say over probably 16, 17 countries altogether that I had been to doing shows, which is a blast. I just connected with a guy who I had seen, I have known since 2004 when we were in North Africa doing shows. And I just talked to him the other day. So you meet some great people, some great contacts, and some really cool friends. Nice to stay in touch with them through all these years. So yeah, it's been 16 years since we've been over there. So.
Wow. So when you're doing comedy for the military, does it humble you? And like, it must be one of the most rewarding experiences of your comedy life.
Oh, it is. I mean, they couldn't be more grateful that you're there. And, it puts a whole new perspective on gigs that you have here in the States. I mean, there's times you go and you show up at a bar and nobody there, cares here in the States, just a one night show that gets put together wherever. And, when you go overseas and you're doing some stuff, I mean, there were shows that we did where these guys were sitting on on asphalt at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we were standing there with a little tiny speaker and no stage lighting, no stage, no nothing. So you appreciate everything a lot more. You appreciate everything that you have, any creature comforts, because when you see some of the situations that those people are in, the servicemen and women, it's pretty crazy. But no, it's a great experience. It's great to get a chance to do shows for them. And my dad was in the Navy and my grandfather was in the Army, so it's good to it's good. I always have a spot in my heart to do stuff for the military. Love doing those shows.
Yes, and I do comedy at veterans hospitals and homeless shelters and convalescent places where veterans are at. And when I have a joke that when I'm doing comedy for veterans and making them forget the nonsense they had to do, taking them out of their pain, I get tingly all over. And that's how I know I always want to find another GI spot.
That's your hormone cream working overtime. You're putting too much on. Linda, don't put the whole tube on, just little dabs here and there.
And then I go, thank you for your service to me.
Thank you for your service to me. I'm going to go take care of this in the car on the way home.
That's a new tag for me. Did I hear a new tag? Thank you. So I want to go into another thing that's interesting about you to me. It's all about me. Something that's interesting about you to me is that you've opened for Motown legends. How did that happen? Because you just bumped into them in Detroit and said, let's do this.
Yeah, I was walking around Detroit and ran into the Temptations at the grocery store. And then, then I saw them again at Walgreens and they were picking up their medication. And I'm like, hey, this would be cool if we could do a show together. No, I was in Florida at the time, living down there in South Florida. And there was the Four Tops were doing a show at the Tennessee Williams Theater in Key West, Florida. And they needed an opening act. And an agent had reached out to me. And so I ended up going down there and doing that show, which was very surreal, being a huge Motown fan, obviously, and just being backstage with those guys. They could not have been nicer. And then on a separate occasion, it was about a year and a half later, I ended up doing the same venue for the Temptations. And again, just hard to kind of wrap your brain around, being there. I mean, there's not a lot of the Four Tops, there was, one original member of the Four Tops left, and we ended up talking after the show. As a buddy of mine called it, one top and three bottoms.
I opened for the Four Dreidels once.
Did you now? I was unaware of that Jewish Motown group.
Yeah, 57, 51 or something. I don't know what year it is. So I'm not
actually, actually the Four Dreidels were the agents for the Four Tops.
And now they have Temptations at every store now. You feed them to your cat.
It's sad when the name of your band is now a crunchy treat for Mittens.
Oh my gosh. So tell me about all the things you want to promote. I see you have a book, Whiskey, Cancer, and Bad Decisions. Is this about somebody else's life or yours?
No. You're looking at them. It was I'm a 21-year cancer survivor of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so what I did was a couple years ago, I decided to start to tell my story, because I ran into more and more people after shows, because I was doing some stuff about it in my act, nothing too much, because it's a tough topic to bring up in any situation. And so I was able to feel more comfortable about reliving that situation, because it was just such a nightmare at the time. Obviously, anybody who goes through any kind of an illness or any kind of if you're in a car accident or you lose a family member, I mean, it's a shitty situation that nobody wants to relive. And when you find out that so many people have gone through what you've gone through, it's nice to be able to kind of relate to them on a different level. And so I decided to go ahead and put this book together, and it was just me telling my story about what I went through, but not as if it's not a depressing story. Obviously, it's talking about cancer, so not everything is a laugh a minute. It's reality. But I tried to make it as if you and I were hanging out at the bar, having cocktails and making jokes about it, like we're just making inappropriate jokes about the concentration camp. So, I mean,
Yes.
is anybody going to say that the Holocaust was funny? No, but you got to find funny in everything. That's how we survive.
Absolutely.
So I'm very happy with how it came out. It was a good. It was very cathartic for me to do it. It kind of relive some experiences that I didn't want to relive, but it helped me get a different perspective on them also.
Well, what's the best joke that's come out of your scenario in your book that you're the most proud of?
The best joke?
Yeah,
well, there really isn't in the book. There's not really a joke in particular. It's just really more anecdotal stories about just what I had gone through chemotherapy, the diagnosis and stuff like that, and then even going through the treatment and the stuff after the treatment and the side effects. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool little fun things that I was able to incorporate in there, only because I had like I said, I'd forgotten about a lot of stuff, and then as I was going through and putting it together, it really brought more things back into my head about what I had experienced. And so it was, so it's fun. So there's a lot of different funny, goofy things tied in there.
Yeah. And when you were going through it, like, did crazy things happen at the hospital or with doctors or?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, there was my doctor was from India, and he thought he could never understand, he couldn't grasp what a comedian was. And so the oncology techs and the nurses there, who were brilliant, they were hilarious. And he thought I juggled. And so he'd come walking in the room and he was like, "Oh, Derek, how does your juggling?" And I'm like, I've been coming here for months. I don't juggle. And then so one time he came in and he brought like 3 golf balls and handed them to me. And I said, "What are you doing?" And the nurse was there and she's cracking up. And he goes, "Well, do you juggle?" And I just threw the golf balls all over the room like an idiot who doesn't know how to juggle. And he literally said, he goes, "I don't know how you pay bills." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I don't come into your office and just start giving out chemicals to people. Hey, this may or may not cure your prostate cancer. Let's see what happens." Like, no, I don't juggle. So that was always entertaining, hanging out with him and talking with him. But no, he was great. He was super cool, and the nurses were fantastic, and so it was a good. And it just kind of talks about different things that I did to kind of get through that time, and in terms of not just relying on chemotherapy, but also going and seeing a nutritionist at the same time, which I think is more important than anything now with the whole pandemic going on and people trying to get themselves fixed.
Yes, you've got to have the right nutrition going in your body. I know I have a relative who's been doing drugs since high school. And if it wouldn't have been for somebody in the family that made sure while he was doing drugs that he was eating, I don't think he'd be around to this day. I mean, you have no idea how important nutrition is for people, let alone addicts or anything. I mean, nutrition, you can go bonkers without the right nutritional balances.
So he was doing drugs, but the fact that he was taking kale with his meth ended up keeping him alive and healthy with everybody.
It's a whole bit that I could work out about this. I never thought.
Yes, it is. Yeah, a vegan drug addict. Always make sure you do your heroin with your chickpeas.
Can I have all this?
You got all yours. Take it.
Awesome. Thank you. It's my twin brother.
Heroin and hummus.
H&H. You thought it was a loan shop in Portland, Oregon. Nope, it's my brother. Yeah, he's my twin brother, and he says that I'm the afterbirth. We play with each other. He's funnier than I am, but he won't get on stage. So whatever.
I have some great friends of mine that are like that. I have a buddy of mine who's actually he owns a jewelry store up in Michigan outside of Lansing. And he's hands down one of the funniest people that I've ever talked to.
Wow.
I mean, just brilliant. I mean, one inappropriate line after another, and he just has zero fucks to give, Linda. He's so funny. And he's accidentally given me just tons of material because I'm like, I need to incorporate that into something. And he's like, go for it.
Wow. I love that when stuff happens. Like, you've given me a few really good lines here today. And who'd have thought that was a coming?
Well, I'm glad it worked out.
Yes. Tell me about what's on the wall behind you. You look like it's a poker.
In my kitchen. I've got it's just a little poker decoration thing here, and then on the other side is it's an old menu from the Golden Nugget from back in the 50s.
Wow. Oh my gosh. What's the favorite gig you ever did besides the military tours and opening for Motown legends?
This interview right here. This is
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm going to put that up.
This is all I need. So many fun things that I've been fortunate to be a part of. I do a bunch of shows with a group that I put together called the Irish Comedy Tour, where we get a chance to play in smaller theaters, which is always great fun. Me and 3 other guys, and it's those are probably, I would say, the most fun that I have because it's a project that I had started back in 2006, and then it grew through the years, and then we've got a special right now on Amazon Prime called the Irish Comedy Tour. It's also available on like 13 other platforms.
I saw that.
Vimeo, YouTube TV. You can get it on iTunes. It's on Dish, Comcast, and stuff like that. But if you got Amazon Prime, it's free, the Irish Comedy Tour. And so that's probably the most fun that I have doing this, only because, like I said, it's something that, I had started, and with these 3 other guys, we've been able to build it into what it is today. And it was, we were on pace to have a fantastic 2020. And
I saw your calendar. Your calendar is full. I looked at your upcoming shows.
Well, I don't know if I deleted everything that COVID has taken away from me. So we'll see. So we'll see what happens. But no, like everybody, I can't complain. I'm very fortunate that I was able to, put some money aside and not be completely screwed by this pandemic. I mean, it's horrible for, millions of people. I've been very fortunate to do that, to be able to, keep a full calendar, because you got to diversify your portfolio. You can't just rely on comedy clubs and stuff like that. You've got to do different things to keep busy and to keep income rolling in. Because if you're just going to rely on one thing, it's like taking all your money and sticking it in one stock.
Yes, absolutely. So with the pandemic hitting and we have to recreate our comedy, what's the best thing that you personally have seen come out of the pandemic?
From a comedic perspective or from a personal perspective?
Let's go with either way you want to answer that.
I would say, well, comedy-wise, I mean, you can joke, the shows that I've done during the pandemic, I throw like a one-liner or 2 about the pandemic, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because it's, to me, we've seen enough.
Yes.
And, now you see people that are, comics going up in some areas where you can still do shows, and they're just, beating up the COVID-19 thing. It's like, it happened. It's horrible. People have been inundated with it. I think they're done.
Yes.
Unless you've got something that's insanely unique and creative and hilarious and people are dying laughing. But I throw a couple one-liners and go right into my regular set. And So from a comedic perspective, I think it's the best thing to come out of the pandemic is that, the audiences are very appreciative of comedy now because they've been held back from doing anything. Can't go to
Yes.
sporting events live. You can't go to movies in most places. You can't go do the most basic things that you enjoy doing, even if it was going to, throwing darts at a bar or bowling.
So true.
But I think from a personal perspective, I think the best thing to come out of this is being able to reconnect with a bunch of people that I hadn't seen in a long time. And that's worked out well. Even just if you're talking to people or getting on these Zoom conversations, I think that's huge. It's been people people just happen to fall by the wayside, not for any reason other than life.
Yes.
It's impossible to keep track of everybody. And so it's been good. I would say the positive thing to come out of this for me is just being able to reconnect with a lot of people that I haven't had a chance to see or talk to in a long time.
Absolutely. I can't believe how much free time we have. We've always had it, but it sure is like exacerbated. Like you had 24 hours to fill now. There's no clubs to go to. And so you're just like, wow, 24 hours is a long time to fill.
Well, you just think of all the stuff that you did before, that you're not doing now. And just things that you would, because at least for this, not a lot of people can say that they look forward to their job, but I mean, I look forward to going up and doing this. And
yes.
it's fun. It's just a
booty call coming in.
One of your vets calling you? Somebody from the VA? Tom from Vietnam, he's calling you?
Yeah, you thought it was Tom from MySpace.
He's the one making you tingly right now. That's how this is working.
So I can only show from here on up.
Hey, that's your fans only site. That's $12.95 a month, and she'll turn the camera down.
Oh my goodness sakes! I'd love to have you end this interview. That's not what I'm saying. It has an ending to this. I've been watching too much of Jiminy Glick.
Oh my God. So funny. I haven't seen that one in a long time.
Oh my God.
Pandemic has also made me realize how much incredibly, not Jiminy Glick, but just how much incredibly awful content there is out there on network television, Netflix, Hulu, whatever. You go, oh my God, this sucks.
Terrible.
I want to go back to work only because I'm tired of watching crap on TV.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I'd like to have you end the interview with all the places where you want traction on the internet. You mentioned your comedy tour is on so many platforms, 12 platforms.
Yeah, the Irish Comedy Tour. You can check that out on Amazon Prime. It's free on there. You can also get it on, like I said, Vimeo, Vudu, YouTube TV, Dish, DirecTV, Comcast, Cox Communications. My website is DerekRichards.com. I'm going to be in, where am I at? Saturday, September 26th in the Sunrise Theater in Fort Pierce, Florida. And then I'm going to be in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina the week after that, September 29th through October 3rd at the Comedy Cabana over there too. So, but yeah, my website has all my social media stuff, just DerekRichards.com. Go on there and you can find all the other, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that. Is
it true that your Twitter and Instagram is COMEDN Richards?
Yes, COMEDN, comedian D Richards.
Got it.
Yes.
There's a D in there. Because
yeah.
I found it kind of funny that you had that in there, and I was like, was this a typo? No, this is really how he does it.
Well, what was funny was like there's some Derek Richards who's like a real estate guy in England or something like that. And so I went to type his originally, and there was some, house outside of London for sale. I'm like, no, I can't do this.
Yes.
So I had to find some other creative way to do it. And at the time, that was what I thought of, which for whatever, good, bad, or indifferent, maybe it was too much whiskey in my system at the time.
I like it. It's different.
That's where it is. So go to DerekRichards.com and you'll find all the links. And then the IrishComedyTour.com is our website for for the actual tour that's going to start back up in March. We had a lot of postponed dates, so looking forward to making those up and getting back out there.
So do you find that only Irish people come to your comedy tour, or do other people come?
Mostly Black. They do. We have huge BLM rallies outside the Irish Comedy Tour theaters constantly. It's tough to get through the BLM movement to get your tickets because they're packing the place. No, it's actually anybody everyone has family that came from somewhere. And so the stuff that we joke about is, we joke about our Irish American upbringing, but, we're all cut from the same cloth at the end of the day. Doesn't matter whether you're Greek, Polish, German, whatever. We all came here from somewhere, which makes it cool because everything that we do is very relatable. And so the show itself is like an Irish pub and a comedy show stuck in a food processor. So it's just a good, fun time. You go to an Irish pub, like out here in Vegas, McMullen's Irish Pub, you go in there when the entertainment's cranking, you just know what you're going to get. Yes. You're going to get a guy on stage who's up there doing songs and making inappropriate jokes and stuff like that. And that's what our show is. We've got a guitar player, singer on the show, also a fiddle player, and then myself and another stand-up comedian on the show too. So
wonderful. Well, I just want to say one last thing because women have to get in the last word. So I just really want to thank your father and your grandfather for their service, even though it's most likely posthumously, right?
Yes.
And I also want to thank you for serving the military with your USO tours. I can't tell you how much that means to me that I know you and I know you've served the military, served up jokes for them.
Yeah, they're great people. They do work that I certainly can't do. And as long as it makes you tingly, Linda, that's all I care about.
It does. Just hearing about it does. It does so much.
Perfect. That's all a guy needs to do is just wear a uniform or talk military stuff around you.
I look at that couple in New York City kissing. You have no idea what I've done with that image.
I can't even imagine. Again, that's part of your fans only site.
Thank you so much, Derek Richards. You guys, you've heard all the places you can follow him. I'll post them again. I'll get this put up on my YouTube and on my Spotify because you're at the level where you belong on my Spotify.
I'm happy to be on your Spotify.
Thank you so much, Derek Richards.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Linda. Take care of yourself.
You too. Bye.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.